So, sorry, the last video got cut off. I guess since then, after it did, I was just saying that now that we had our three equations, we can call them equation 1, 2, and 3, we can determine which method would be best to use. We could use elimination on this problem, and actually in my notes that I have on Blackboard, where it's just filled in, I did use elimination to solve this. It's similar to the problem we just did with the perimeter of the triangle. You could do it the same way. However, this one is actually set up nicely to use substitution, because the s variable and a variable that's already solved for in these two equations. So we could move the j and a over to the left and move the 4j over to the left in this equation, get all of our j's lined up, our a's lined up, our s's lined up, and then our constant numbers by themselves over here on the right hand side, and use elimination. But I think it's actually quicker and a little easier if we use substitution. You can check to know if substitution will be a good method, because looking at it, we have, well, a equals 4j. So we could replace this a here with 4j, which then we have an equation that has s equals, we would have some j term here plus 15. Well, then we could take that s, and wherever we see an s, we can replace it with the j term plus 15. Really what we'd have is 4j plus j, so we'd have 5j plus 15. So we could plug in a 5j plus 15 here for s. We can replace that a with a 4j, and then we have another j term here. So we'd have j's, more j's, more j's. We'd have this equation all with one variable, and we can solve to find out what j is equal to. Then we can use that to then come back here and tell what a is equal to. And then once we know what j and a are equal to, we can plug them in here to find out what s equals to. So that's why substitution will work in this one, because we already have equations solved for certain variables. It's going to work nicely. So that's the method I want to use, substitution. So kind of going back to what I was just saying, we're going to take this 4j right here and plug it into the equation above where we see the a, because we know a equals 4j. So we can rewrite that equation 2 is that s equals j plus 4j plus 15. Okay. The j plus 4j gives us 5j, so s equals 5j plus 15. So now we can take that and we can plug that into this portion of it, at least. We're going to plug that into equation 1. We're going to replace the s with 5j plus 15 in equation 1. So plug into equation 1 for s. And then we also, since we know that a equals 4j, okay, we're going to take and plug 4j into equation 1 for a. Alright, so now we can start messing around with equation 1. Let's come over here. So equation 1 was j plus a plus s is 315. We want to get this down to one variable, and that variable is going to be the j. But now we're replacing 4j for a right here, so plus 4j, plus now we're replacing this s with 5j plus 15. And that's still going to equal 315. So essentially we replace the a with 4j there, and we replace the s with 5j plus 15 there. But since it's just all addition, we don't really need those parentheses. So that's why I didn't write them in there. So then we can add up. We have j plus 4j plus 5j. That's going to give us 10j. And then plus 15 equals 315. Subtract 15 from both sides, we get 10j equals 300. Divide on both sides by 10. We get that j equals 30. So what that means is 30 pairs of Jordans were sold. Okay. So now we can use that to come back and find what the other two. So if we know Jordans, we come here to this equation 3 and do 4 times that 30 to find out how many Air Forces were sold. Would probably be the next best thing to do. So equation 3 is that Air Force equals 4 times the Jordans. But we now know Jordans were 30 pairs sold. So A equals 120. That's 120 pairs of Air Forces. Okay. And lastly, we know J and A, so we can come back to this equation, equation 2, because that's already solved for S. And that'll make it easy to find out what our amount of shocks were sold. So come back here in the middle. Let's use equation 2. S equals J plus A plus 15. Replace the A with 120. Replace the J with 30. And then plus 15 on the end. Adding those all up, we get 165 pairs of shocks. And adding those 3 up, we do get 315. And that is it for section 4.3.